right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the StarLadder I-League Invitational Season number 4 CIS Qualifiers. That always is a mouthful to say. Anyways, I'm excited to be here, obviously, getting later on into what is the year, the new year upon us. Looking forward to one of the remaining Dota 2 events, you can, I guess, say, that is left here in the 2017 year. So we got this whole week set up where, obviously, all the regions going to be playing their qualifiers. Specifically, for myself, going to be covering the CIS region, and that's why we are here today. 8 teams duking it out for one spot on the line, a trip, a chance to go to the minor event, that is, where a $300,000 prize pool will be on the line. I am Breaky CPK, and I'm joined by my co-caster today, the legend himself, Tsunami. How's it going, man?
10 seconds remaining.
It's going good. It's been a little bit since either of us casted, but what better way than to come back into a region that is starting to get a little more respect, a little more prominence now these days. Na'Vi has been doing some work against all odds in the pro circuit. VP obviously a mainstay, and even Empire. I'm incredibly happy for them as they were able to finally get first in a LAN which the organization has not gotten in like 3 years or so, or 2 years. And
yeah.
ROG Masters, they come out on top against Optic Gaming. It's unfortunately not a tournament that gave them any qualifying points, but still, a LAN's a LAN, and you will take that.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a minor event, but still, a LAN it was a very good LAN, honestly. I did get the chance to cast for the Asia Pacific portion qualifier of that event, and it was very well ran, and yeah, very deserving of their victory. But I couldn't agree with you more. CIS especially, hell, as of last night, Virtus Pro, of course, helping to represent the region even more, taking home the Summit title yet again for them right there. But we got 2 different teams here. Well, I guess we do have Empires who are just getting at there on the Radiant side. We got Brestomans on the Dire side. I was trying to do a little bit of research into these guys. Not a whole lot you can find. They're one of these kind of Tier 2, Tier 3 teams of the CIS region, however you want to put it, that competes in these cups here and there, but hasn't necessarily really broken through. Apparently they've been together for a fairly long time out of Belarus here. But no doubt you got to be looking at Empire and considering them the favorite, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, by a healthy margin. I guess the competition at the ROG Masters wasn't also as well-rounded as some of the pro circuit teams. Besides Optic Gaming, there weren't really that many other teams in at least the Western regions. There was a handful of Southeast Asian teams and like Execration, Warriors Gaming, Unity, and stuff like that. But this is their home turf, so I'm sure Brestomans have run into Empire, which Empire themselves are no stranger to the qualifier circuit. Even though they took home that LAN victory, they've still got a lot more to prove before they'll start showing up to the qualifier events for the pro circuit. But at least now, this is, like you said, it's a minor with actual points on the line.
We got one more note to make before we get into the actual draft right here. Empire, they are using a ringer from what I can tell. Vanscore is not here for this match. I forget the name. They are not, unfortunately, tagged up in game. I guess we don't have the ticket for it, but somebody is playing in place of Vanscore is the point there. So take that how you will. All right, we got a draft. Let's start talking about it, Tsunami. We got a tiny Shadow Shaman on the side of Empire, Ancient Apparition, Clockwork. On the side of Brestomans, bans thrown in there. Anything standing out to you so far?
Well, Shadowfiend got banned out, so I don't know if Brestomans were planning on doing some pre-cog necro mastery damage, but that's not going to happen. And Medusa's getting banned out, so Empire are showing respect to Brestomans because they're banning out like meta picks. Medusa was 100% win rate at the summit for the first 2 or 3 days or so, and the hero is extremely good. And I mean, Tiny is also pretty high up there. Those two are seeming to be, well, those 3 along with Morphling seem to be the go-to carries of the patch, and with good reason because they are just incredibly difficult to deal with. So
10 seconds
Morphling
remaining.
is still in the pool. I don't know if Brestomans are willing to play them, but yeah, Empire picks up
5
Tiny and Shadow
seconds
Shaman.
remaining.
Excellent pushings. Undying, a less meta pick. In fact, significantly less meta, but I think Empire have themselves favored Undying quite a bit just with their own team, so I can see why they're going for it.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit less meta, but I will say in this patch specifically that came out more recently here, Undying is a hero that we have seen kind of step up a bit when it comes to being an option at least for these teams. A great, perhaps, aggressive dual laning kind of support hero that you can bring to the table, but that Tombstone is just so damn annoying within team fights. And the Soul Rip, you know, that decay early on throughout the laning phase. All around actually pretty good skill set in my opinion, so not surprised to see it here. You mentioned the Morphling possibility. Hell, I could even see it on Empire side. You know, the synergy of Morphling with a Tiny, we've seen that several times where you take over Tiny with the Morph, you all of a sudden you get a big tree to hit with, and even in the ranged form on top of that. So we'll see if that comes about, but Gyrocopter, another very popular hero as of recent, picked up by Brestomans here.
And one that fits well against the Empire draft, helps out against the anti-push, which is now even easier if you're going to be shooting down Flat Cannon against all the Treants. Flat Cannon will also kill off all the zombies if you're attacking any target in the AoE, so it helps out, and then call down obviously to draw the wave back whenever Empire inevitably start pushing really hard in your towers, because this is a incredibly intimidating early push lineup.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Gyrocopter has seen a lot of attention again on the scene, and so Brestomans kind of sticking to perhaps a comfortable meta pick here. We'll see with that fourth pick. I mean, you figure they already have an AA and a Clockwork. Probably going to be their 4 and 5 support, so still need their offlaner, still need their mid position at this time. Offlaner, much more likely, I would have to guess, going to be coming out here. Is Tidehunter still on the board? I always have to bring him up if he's not banned. Yeah, he's not banned, so Tidehunter off the bat would have to be something that I'm sure we should look for. Is there a reason why you think that wouldn't work here?
It's a little too cooldown dependent. I don't think Empire are, like, you have Rost Awards, which is your only, so far, cooldown dependent spell. But aside from that, like, these heroes, Tiny, Nature's Prophet, Undying especially, like, that's a hero like Spear Breaker. Like, if you have an inch, they will immediately pounce on you. And so there is really no time that you're like, oh, okay, you know, I got my items, I'm a Tidehunter, I can start doing Blink Dagger stuff or Ravaging. That's a little too cooldown dependent. But the one thing that I don't like about Undying in that same vein is, like you said, he's an excellent dual laner, but he's a miserable roamer. And roamers these days are, it seems to be a very fitting strategy for nearly all teams, because, you know, dual mid is such a big deal. Bounty runes allow you to gain easy experience all across the map without having to soak up some other lane. And Undying doesn't really have that kind of potential very easily, but he is an excellent dual laner. And so if they do still want to pick a mid on Empire, they could just send Undying to dual mid with them, because Brestomans also haven't shown any mid yet.
That's true, yeah. Probably going to be mids for either side as the final picks here, unless some funky stuff happens. Perhaps some Shadow Shaman mid, just saying. Would still love to see that on the scene, but Sand King going to be the fourth pick from Brestomans. So you're talking about the cooldown reliant that Tidehunter has, especially with the Ravage, of course. But Sand King, Brill Strike, a little more frequent, it's safe to say, when it comes to stunning people. So, like the pick there?
Yeah. It's, I mean, if I knew Brestomans, then I'd have a better idea of whether they're planning on sending this Clockwork offlane or sending the Sand King offlane. Based off of this lineup, I feel like Clockwork would be a little bit better, because if Tiny's in the safe lane, then Cog's just going to be providing more protection. You're going to get bursted down too quickly as the Sand King once you get caught by Shadow Shaman, Shackles, or something like that.
Final bands coming out here. Storm Spirit and then an OD taken out by Brestomans. So, again, mid options for both sides, as we expect here. Going to be happening. We'll see what Brestomans are the ones that have to choose first, of course. But on the side of Empire, you're dealing with FN, who, in my opinion, is actually, it's got to be up there on the list of players that play mid. That is, I don't want to say underrated, because obviously we know of him, but he definitely is a fantastic mid player. I feel like every time I get the chance to watch Empire, he usually shines and essentially almost carries a team even when it comes to, you know, Empire's gameplay. Of course, Chappie no longer being part of the team. Now they have Silent as kind of their new Position 1 core player. I personally haven't got the chance to see a lot of him, but FN seems like that star standout player. So, and Miran is a hero that he would actually play himself. So I was wondering about that.
That seems like a denial pick, if anything.
So Brestomans takes it.
Yeah, there's still a few options. Puck is banned out, unfortunately, because that's another FN go-to. It's actually, his pool is kind of limited this game. Could go for Queen of Pain,
Yeah.
5
But
seconds
there are a lot of
remaining.
strength heroes, which is why, well, not strength hero, but just tanky heroes in general. I imagine that's why they banned out OD, because Sanity's Eclipse against all these heroes with a relatively low int would have done a lot of work. It wouldn't have really matched up with their push lineup, so I'm looking for a mid that can also provide a fair amount of push. DK wouldn't be a bad pick, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, DK could always go the Broodmother route, if as long as she's not banned and doesn't look like she is. But
Against Flat Cannon and Caustic, that may be a bit dicey.
never said it would be good, but you could go
It's
it.
true. There are still nearly 100 heroes that could be picked right now.
There are. This is very true. Like Zeus is still on the board. You know, we got. What other
This
fun
ain't
things?
secret. Otherwise, then maybe I'd put that on the radar.
All right. Well, we'll still need to figure that out. 20 more seconds. Yeah, Queen of Pain, I mean, you bring up a good point there, but if we're looking at kind of standard mids, that's one that comes to mind. Lena is an option, too. Maybe could help with that push idea as well.
That's
Not
true.
as popular nowadays, but perhaps one. Sniper, another one. They go the Razor. That is a little more in-meta hero, for sure. They
Yeah,
decide to run.
definitely more in meta. And I guess maybe a better matchup against Miranda than whoever else they may have been considering.
Yeah.
But it's a hero that can, again, not cooldown dependent. Early mid-game item, presence, because you don't really need very many items on Razor. You don't really need very many levels. And against all these low-range heroes like Gyrocopter, he has to get close, relatively speaking, unless if he's getting flat cannon hits, to deal damage to Razor, which means that he's easy pickings for a static Lincoln.
All right, lineups are set. Game number 1 finally underway. Again, we were having a little bit of the delays there. Still not even sure exactly what the issue was, but the point is we are going, and we got game number 1 of what is, of course, a best out of 3 series. So I will say, I look at that Brestomans lineup, and it's one that, sometimes when you get a team that we maybe not know too much about, and there are people in chat bringing up, apparently it's they're a team from, of course, as I mentioned, Belarus, a small town even. I guess there's a football club out there, as us Americans like to say, a soccer club that is represented by the name Brestomans, apparently. So, but the point I was getting at was that they maybe tend to pick some unique, different stuff here and there and kind of scratch our heads a little bit. But I gotta say, they drafted pretty well right here. This is a draft you definitely see top tier teams play.
Prepare for
If I
battle.
looked at both of these lineups just without the team names, I would have for sure been like, oh, Radiant with this random Furion and Undying. That's
Yeah.
definitely the team that isn't the one that will want to land just now. But I guess Empire are definitely, like I said, showing respect to Brestomans.
Okay, so again, guys, do apologize. Unfortunately, the game is not ticketed one of these matches, so do our best here to remind you who's who. But it is Empire, of course, on the Radiant side, and Brestomans on the Dire side. I'm going to assume that, yeah, this Watanabe is FN here, playing the Razor, and, of course, Silent on the Tiny in the safe lane, if I had to make an
Yeah,
educated guess.
And then you said Vangscore. Apparently someone in chat said that Yoku is standing in for Vangscore, so I'm going to guess that
Yes.
Shadow Shaman is actually
30
Yoku.
seconds.
And
That's
then
what it was, yeah, Yoku.
Light would be Ghost Stick, and Tuesday is probably going to be Mimposhka.
Okay, there you go. The other side, well, not too sure.
Good luck.
Not too sure. We'll just call them by whatever their names are in the actual game. We got 4 here playing the Clockwork. There you go. That's a simple name.
4 playing 3.
He's playing.
Actually, I don't know the lanes yet.
I think he's playing the 4 because you got a Stout Shield on Sand King actually. So
That's
safely
true.
assume he's in the
battle
off
Playing
lane.
4.
His name fits well.
The seeds of fortune. I'll take your tribute.
All right, Bounty Rune Control. You see Nature's Prophet up here. This is what Nature's Prophet does, right? I mean, he bullies you with the Treants, and Ancient Apparition going to hit them away, but will Gostic try to do a pull here? No, it doesn't look like he's going to go for it.
Yeah, against an Ancient Apparition, it's looking like a dual lane to lead off AA and Gyro. Typically, Nature's Prophet needs to go for these, like, stealing the waves whenever it's more of a tri-lane situation, but it's dual mid. He can do just fine in a normal laning setup because these Treants are going to zone out AA way harder than AA is going to zone out Nature's Prophet.
Well, middle lane, sure enough, we do see that dual mid, as we're talking about. Undying, paired up with the Razor, a lot of harassment to come. Mirana, though, has that leap, of course, to get away, and Clockwork with the cogs of his own, also going to be quite the harassment dealer himself. So, if you had to give an advantage, I mean, Mirana seems like I would think she's going to be able to do fairly well herself, but that decay spam, man, we're down to 400 life. What do you think here as far as the middle matchup?
Yeah, Decay Spam is it'll make you feel a lot safer than you are because like you see like Sohai is at basically full HP, right? Except he has 320 HP.
That's not a
so
lot.
the plus side is that your tangos are incredibly effective right now. But the downside is that if you get hit by like one static link attack or one double plasma field, then you all of a sudden are like, how did I lose all of my HP?
Yeah.
And it's also even worse for the Clockwork because that's his damage as well. So he is losing 4 damage every single time he gets decayed.
Yeah. It's just funny seeing Undying too at 1,000 plus HP. You know, there's no way you're killing him, that's for sure. Even scaring him for the mat. You see decays once again, so keeping it at the 20 right there at this point for himself. So interesting back and forth middle. 9-1 Razor so far versus a 2-1 Mirana. So it's safe to say Razor is having a much better time, but you no doubt have to thank the Undying especially for that with his harassment.
Yeah.
So it's paying off so far with the pick at least.
Oftentimes the early strategies in this dual mid are either you cash out all of your mana very early on so that, you know, you just go back to base like Undying is now, and now your mid laner has a pretty substantial advantage. I'm actually surprised that he's sending out the courier, but I guess that's because no one else needed it. Otherwise, Undying, I imagine, is probably just going to head right on back mid, although Clockwork in the bot lane does go down. I mean, sorry,
Sand
Sand
King
King
there.
goes
Yeah,
down.
Clockwork could be going down if he's not careful, but no, he'll walk it off. I caught that right as the kill was happening, unfortunately, but yeah, Sand King just found himself in a bad spot, and I guess Tiny with the Avalanche as well as a Rasta lockdown, too much to handle.
Yeah, now Undying's heading up top. It's not really going to be able to get this kill, but it's zoning out Gyrocopter, and this is what Undying does. It's not really the roaming presence of walking around from base lane to lane like what is traditionally seen from 4 positions, but it's walking around winning each lane whenever you get the mana back. So Tuesday finished off bullying mid. Clockwork has returned, but now Razor is such a high advantage. He's 18-5 against a 5-2 Mirana. He doesn't need any help.
This goes back to, again, I believe this is safe to say this is FN here playing the Razor, and standout player for the team, and whenever you get to start like this, you definitely have to be fearing for your success in what is game number 1 right here. But I will say across the board, it's not only the Razor, Tiny's also, of course, having a very good time, 21-7. He also has that first blood on top of it as well. In fact, he's going to be stunned with the Burrow Strike, but Sand King's the one that has to be a little bit careful. I'd figure. He picks up a tree. He actually goes toss level 2, by the way, just thwacking with that tree. Here comes the Shackles. There's that toss level 2, but a nice magic stick will keep Mangix alive, and Sand King should be able to walk away. Maybe Avalanche toss. He's going to toss him in. No, he's just going to Avalanche, actually. Thwack him with the tree again. Throw it. No, it's not. Oh, the zap is not enough either. Well, that was close, man.
Yeah, ACC tried to go for a cleave off of the creeps. You can either go for the toss of your tree and, you know, hope that you skill shot it, or you can... Actually, he may have been able to actually, like, unit target it once Sand King came out of Invis, but whatever the case, Mangix gets out, but might be going right back in. He has Burrow Strike, though.
He's still in the trap, apparently. The uphill attack is going to miss. He did have the Burrow Strike. He got the Arcane Rune, so...
Sandstorm?
Can they do anything about it? I don't think so. Yeah, no, he's fine. Just sit there forever. Ross is like, all right, I'll camp. Put a fire over here. See what you do.
Yeah, who wants this?
I mean, what?
Well,
He needs a
mid-lane.
TP at this point, I feel like.
Yeah, that's
get it,
true.
though.
I mean, he's got another 30 seconds left on this Sandstorm channel, so I guess he's in no rush. But I mean, this is Shadow Shaman's doing his job. He's zoning the offlaner out, who did manage to hit level 4, so Sand King's still doing fine. As now Watanabe gets the kill on 4 in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm apparently really good at literally catching the kill as the player falls over onto his side right there. So
Still counts.
yeah, exactly. Beautiful cameraman. No cam tours here. Leap away from Mirana. She'll be fine. She gets the early magic wand info as well as the Ring of Aquila. So it doesn't even have boots just yet, but wants that wand to take advantage of all that decay spam. Understandable. Coming out from Undying. But yeah, the saving grace is that Gyrocopter's at least doing okay at the top lane here for Brestomans. But if you're this dire side right now, I mean, is there an obvious thing that they need to be doing, you think, that would help them recover at this point?
They went for a rotation on mid, but the problem is that FN is just so far ahead on this Razor that mid is probably one of the most difficult lanes. Then bottom is also an issue because Rasta has not left. Oftentimes you'll see a Rasta being extremely mobile, but Rasta is just ensuring the farm of Tiny, although this may be as good of a time as any, as Rasta has now left. Sand King has not shown himself yet. Oh, okay, never mind. They both show themselves on this pole camp, so it doesn't look like they're going to be able to go on Tiny.
Yeah. They would love, I mean, getting a kill on either Tiny or the Razor at this point would be absolutely huge, but Moran is the one that has to leap away and just barely survive it. Razor just running out, diving the tower. They don't care. They're just so beefy right now. Even Razor has that very far of the arrow just to simply snipe the ballista at least and get some more farm for Marana. But yeah, you got a Clockwork and a Sand King. You would figure the early game roam kill potential is definitely there for the Dire side. It's just a matter of actually executing it. And again, Clockwork coming down, but he's seen by the ward that Rasta placed earlier. So this is not going to be a sneaky kill by any means.
Yeah, the other problem is that, I mean, the carries are doing fine, but the supports on Team Empire are also getting a lot done. Shadow Shaman has just been able to roam constantly. I mean, jungle pull and stuff like that, and so he's been able to get a lot of wards up. And so if you want to go for these rotations as Brestomans, you're going to need to smoke up because there's just way too much vision on the map right now.
Yeah, smoke, very, very valuable item at this point in the game especially. So see if Brestomans is able to take advantage of that. Once again, to reiterate, guys, Empire on the Radiant side, Brestomans here on the Dire side. Did I miss another one? God. Bottom lane.
It was solo. So there have been a lot of different variations on Tiny builds, like literally every single possibility I've seen, and it looks like Silent is going to be going for max toss. Again, it's like entirely dealer's choice. He may be caught out as he tosses the Clockwork away, so no battery assault.
Here we go. This is that kill that they need, though. ACC, a.k.a. Silent, he's in trouble, and he's probably going to fall right here. The Avalanche and all three heroes somehow. In comes the Wrath of Nature. 4 on the Clockwork. He's getting low. Going for the turncoat. Tiny was. He ends up going down himself, but Clockwork falls shortly after with a port in from Gostic here on Nature's Prophet. So they finally kill Tiny. Hell of an effort, though, to get away. The fact that he almost actually managed to is just ridiculous. 3 versus 1.
Yeah, but that's perfect from Brestomans. That's exactly what they needed because it was 3 support heroes going for that. Gyrocopter didn't have to leave his lane, Marana didn't have to leave her lane, so 3 supports were able to kill the highest net worth hero on the map, and so that was a fantastic rotation from Brestomans.
That's what they need, and granted, Silent there on the Tiny, he was a little bit too far up, you could argue. Again, not the most vision aggressively. There's no ward in between the towers here like we see sometimes, so definitely taking a bit of a risk, and it does backfire. So you gotta figure if you're Tiny moving forward, probably not gonna put yourself in that position once again. But how is that? Looks like he's gonna be on the Shadow Blade next. So has a drums early on with the power treads. Drums is really an item we're starting to see so much now in this latest patch, especially.
Yeah, that's actually surprising because Nature's Prophet built a drums of his own, so 2 drums on the map. But once one times out, then you get 6 more charges on the other one, I suppose. And chances are Nature's Prophet's going to be probably split pushing anyway, so his drum is just going to be just for him.
Yeah, no, and that kind of goes to the idea, that's what I was just saying. We were seeing this side him so often, but we've definitely seen it, even 2 different heroes pick it up. And like you say, it's either we use one after the other, or they're just not necessarily always together. And it just really allows you to just enhance the game that much more in the early game. Take advantage of it. So Tiny, bottom lane, going to be pushing it out again here. This time he does have Rasta nearby. Rasta's only level 3, though, at 9.5 minutes. So I guess Shadow Shaman isn't necessarily getting the most, but that's because Tiny, he's taking that solo experience, and now they're going to go in, accident Sand King. The burst damage from the Wrath of Nature, just not enough. He uses the magic stick to survive. Calldown comes down in return, and Nature's Prophet, he might have went a little bit too far, going to be stunned up, and yes, he will indeed fall. Tiny going for the TP out. Nope, Clockwork with the cogs, pushes him back, the cold feet procs, and the homing missile sets up the eventual kill. That was a great hold, actually, by Brestomans here.
Yeah, all the heroes basically had TPs available. Normally when you want to go for a dive like that, it's right after, like, oh, the Clockwork just TP top to stop Razor's push, or the Ancient Apparition is like farming the jungler or something like that because we have vision. But no, Empire went a little too aggressive without any backup plan, and Tiny goes down as well as the Nature's Prophet. But Razor is still continuing to farm, and if I know Empire, they know that they have absolute faith in FN to carry them, so things are going still just fine for them.
Exactly. I think they're still overall feeling pretty confident, but bottom lane, you got Brestomans picking up a little bit of momentum. You got Marana pushing it in. Phase Boot's finished. She's going to need to get away here, though. Drums activated. Razor running on top. That's the 3rd drums, by the way. 3 cores all have drums. Anyways, they're running after Marana. Eye of the Storm's active. And I don't think Marana's getting away from this one. A couple more auto attacks, and yeah, the arrow, in fact, missing. But yeah, how about that? All 3 cores getting drums. Okay, that I don't know if we see every day.
No, definitely not. This has to be like an early push special or something like that, because Way back in the day, a concept used to be like an item called Vlad's. I don't know if you remember it anymore because no one builds it, but that used to be one of the go-to items for early pushing. Now apparently the strategy is 3 drums.
Yeah, that is something. Pretty unique stuff here coming out from Empire, but hey, it works right there. Pushes the bottom tier 1, and you got a 4 staff now coming for Razor. We talked about the Shadow Blade on Tiny, and you just Profit. Haven't talked too much about, but kind of seems like him and Tiny have the very same idea. Drums into good old Shadow Blade. Going to be the call.
Yeah, the only
here.
risk with that is basically no one on Empire is building for late game. They're all mid game. The Nature's Prophet, the Razor, the Tiny, they're all mid game oriented. And same thing with the supports. Like I said, Undying, he's more of a early mid game presence kind of hero. Definitely falls off late game, and that's only worse against a gyrocopter who can just flat cannon down all of your zombies. So it's a little bit of a gambit, but I think that Empire are confident enough, or rather they're confident enough that Brestomans doesn't know how to play the late game, that they're going to be able to, even if they reach that point, they'll still be able to come out on top.
Yeah, when you're a team that's no doubt much more experienced than the other as is Empire here, then you can rely on that idea, it's safe to say. So Rasta, he's level 6 now. He's got the wards. He's getting really aggressive putting the ward down, and he's going to die for it. Ice Blast will finish the job. So nice capitalize there, and you say to yourself, yeah, what was Rasta doing all the way up here by himself, I wonder?
The homie just wants some bounty runes.
That's possibly it too, yeah. A nice counter coming out, though. And takes away that vision.
Yeah.
So not the most vision right now for the Radiant side, and especially, and neither side really has a vision on the other team's area right now.
Yeah, this is tricky for supports at this stage of the game. All the tier 1s have gone down, and so obviously you want aggressive vision down, but it's difficult for a support to just boldly cross the river and feel confident placing wards deep in enemy territory when, you know, it's only 13 minutes in the game. You don't have any items. You don't have like a Glimmer Cape or 4 Staff or a Ghost Scepter or anything like that. You just need to like YOLO it and hope that you don't get punished for it. But it's not going to be too big of a deal if Empire just continue 5-manning because, you know, vision or not, I don't think Brestomans are in the position to defend as now Razor, Tiny, and Shaman all smoke up and are looking to go mid, which is the last tier 1 remaining.
Yep, here we go. We got Ancient Apparition. Ice Blast on 25-second cooldown, so not going to be able to do too much to this as far as a stop and a push. If it happens, at least very shortly. But no, they're going to keep going towards the top. Tiny and Shadow Shaman are at least. Tiny does activate his Shadow Blade, so even if he comes out of the smoke, still would be invis. And that's a free kill on Ancient Apparition.
Yeah, but they don't want AA, but they'll take it.
Yeah, it's something. It sets up a mid-tower push at least too, which obviously is very important.
And Clock has hookshot up again. He had an Arcane Rune when he used it the first time, but now roster wards are down. He's like, no, I'm not dealing with that.
So easy middle tower kill as a result of that there. Gyrocopter went the Mask of Madness. Gerald's an interesting here. I mean, Mask of Madness is definitely one of the more routine builds, of course, but as far as developing from there, we see, you know, a fair amount of options. He's choosing to go a full-on Hurricane Pike early on. You think that's the correct direction for Gyrocopter here?
I don't know. I feel like Sanjin Yasha, which is another traditional build, may be a little bit more effective because you can see that, I mean, anyone can see that Empire they're going to push extremely early. And Force Staff isn't really that much of a utility item early on. Like, or rather, it's exclusively a utility item. It'll get you out of situations, but in terms of dealing damage and driving back pushes, it doesn't really give you that much damage, even when it's combined with the Pike. So I'm a little bit surprised by that, but I'm sure, you know, he's going with what's most comfortable to him.
Exactly.
So,
that's a kill at the top lane, actually. Nature's Prophet gets found. Rasta's up here trying to maybe stop the TP from Sand King. Not going to happen, though. So Sand King, I guess, would be showing off that new Blink Dagger of his. And throwing in the epicenter for the kill. So
good timing.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy lane that he had.
Manages to make use of it right away. So very good timing indeed. Nature's Prophet waiting 10 more seconds before he's going to be respawning. But NP, his farm is still pretty average, and he has the Orchid now. That's going to be happening, at least.
See, now this is the gambit with Shaman. So he plays down a ward, but like this is so scary for him right now.
Oh,
and they immediately counter it.
Jeez.
Well done.
Yeah, they're on top of it.
Brestomans.
I see all the sentry wards around now, and again, they're dealing with the Shadow Blade, so they're going to be dealing with. Oh no, the Nature's Prophet decided to go Orca now, but still, dealing with the one Shadow Blade is enough to reason to get some sentries down, and yeah, counter warding very well.
Radiant's middle tower
Props
is
to their
under
supports, but wrapping around. Here we go. Big fight initiation. Sand King gonna be hexed up though before he can get the Burrow Strike off. The Ice Blast coming through, but the Shackle lockdown. Meanwhile, Tiny picks off Mirana in the back lines. Now the Burrow Strike very defensive coming out from Sand King. Cox going up, but he's also trapped in the trees. Damn it, Clockwork. He's eventually gonna fall to the auto attacks. Ulti form from Undying. Put it in the rip heal. He's gonna survive actually as he limps away just barely. And now Sand King, this may be the end of him. Eye of the Storm active from FN. The toss on the Ballista into the creep wave. At least Sand King will survive, but yeah, the fact that Undying lived. That guy can tend to be pretty tanky, as he showed right there.
That was close. If they weren't 3k down, that may have gone Brestomans' side. But unfortunately, Mirana is just so far behind right now, and it's tough because not only do you have to actually get into a fight, but you also need to be able to survive any tiny burst initiation. Despite having tons of sentry wards, they didn't have any sentry wards to detect if Tiny was in that area, and so Mirana just immediately got blown up with Avalanche Toss, and once you're down one hero like that against a Tiny, you can't really afford. Oh, nice prediction with that AA ult.
Oh.
Tuesday? Undying? Is he dead? Oh, he's dead.
He is, yeah.
That was a sick read. That is a hard read right there. He knew that they'd go to the shrine to heal up after that fight, and so bad is just so good.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, no, that was very well placed indeed, and the timing, like I said, perfect. And they happen to not even activate the shrine yet at that point, but yeah, Undying ticking down, so they eventually get the kill on him, and definitely got to be worth something. But you know, props to Brestomans, if anything, kind of keeping in this game fairly well. But yeah, middle lane Mirana, it's not been her game, that's for sure. She's had a struggle.
No.
1, 2, and 2. I guess it went from that perspective, not the worst, but overall her farm's been struggling. That's for sure. Going in. Oh, that's awkward. Goes in with the arrow. Dragonlance finished on her though. She's now trying to build a Yasha into a Manta style. So going heavy on the right click, of course. They're going to be Roshan, by the way. Pretty easy Roshan kill for the Radiant, I would think. Yeah, using the Ross towards even. I was going to say, is there an argument here that Mirana could have potentially gone the magic build, the Yags and everything, or you think the right click makes sense?
I think the right click makes sense because for the magic build to work, you have to get deep into enemy territory to get all those Star Storms off. And against a Rasta, against Static Link, against Tiny, you can't really afford to get that close as now. Oh, never mind. I thought I heard Epicenter, but that was just Roche going to town on these wards.
Well, yeah,
they drive back the Roche.
They stop it. Yeah, the Ice Blast is a scary ability to fight in the Roshan. Now, Sand King, though. Who do they see? Sand King, they saw him over there. They're pinging him out. The rocket comes in as well for the site. Epicenter being channeled up. He stuns it onto. Tiny's getting low, actually, just about dead. He tosses him away. The call down on multiple heroes, though, will finish off Tiny. And this is looking really good for Brestomans so far. Rasta, the Shackle's not going to be good enough. He eventually falls after it. Razor, he'll pick off the Clockwork in the back lines. But so far, it's being won for the Dire. Tuesday trying to heal himself up. Not going to be enough, though, from Undying. Down goes FN as well. Nature's Prophet TP's in and nothing. And Brestomans wins the fight. 5-1 advantage. And now they're going to steal the Roshan on top of that. What on earth? This is all of a sudden looking like a turn now for the Dire side.
Yeah, I think Mangus just secured MVP for me. So if you look near the pit, there's this one tree on the north side of the pit. And in that little bit of barrier, he was channeling Epicenter right out of vision of Team Empire. So no one knew that he was there. And so clean blink Epicenter initiation. No one was able to punish it. And despite this Mirana like whiffing a fair number of arrows and not really dealing that much damage, Mangix was providing so much lockdown with just a blink dagger, and that is that's an incredible turnaround for Brestomans.
Yeah, gotta say, Sand King really wasn't having the greatest start to get a late blink dagger, but got the kill right away with it, and making some big plays right there, no doubt. Definitely got to be the main reason, if any, why they won that fight. But yeah, Gyrocopter managing to land a huge call down too. And call down's really an interesting ability because yes, it has potential to do some good damage and help finish off Tiny there, but it's also just such a great zoning tool. And you could tell it really scattered the side of Empire as far as what they wanted to do within that fight as well. So
since he was coming from the north side, like Mirana was coming from the east side of the river, but Gyrocopter was approaching from the same angle as the Sand King, and so Empire was extremely pincered in, which was a great positioning by Brestomans.
Now, this is one of those moments where if you're Brestomans here, you know, you got to be feeling good, understandable. The adrenaline's running, I'm sure, but there's still a lot of game left. And, you know, a team like Empire experienced
Epicenter
themselves.
bot lane.
Going in
All right,
for
look,
it.
Can you do this? This is a tanky tiny.
And it sure is. 1800 live.
now
He
you
builds
can.
up the Avalanche. Undying Soul Rip. No, could not get there in time. Ice Blast pretty strong, too. Nice catch, and they want more. Nature's Prophet, Urn goes up. Ulti form activated by Undying, trying to help him, puts out the Rip heal. The Urn, though, it takes him down. And they're going to get a free Tombstone kill. I got to say, Brestomans, man, they're looking good, man. All of a sudden, things are looking up for them. And this is going to be another kill. Rasta, he pushes the top lane in a little bit, but it's going to be the bane of him.
Sand King's got him. He's got his number.
There you go. Core sticking bot. Now, the cores are down here without supports. This is a little bit scary if you're Marana as well as Gyrocopter. You got Razor running in. The link going to be easily broken, though. And
Aegis.
Oh, he went for the
She has no
TP.
more leap charges, but Watanabe doesn't want to stick around.
No.
I'm actually surprised that they gave the Aegis to Marana. I mean, I guess it's a purely defensive Aegis because she's way more likely to die than a Gyrocopter, but still a little bit surprising, but no big deal.
That's something else, actually, maybe we haven't touched on it a lot of yet, is Razor and linking people this game is not the easiest. Marana's very, slippery. Gyrocopter has insane movement speed, especially if he gets the level 20 talent, plus 50 movement speed. And then the others, not the easiest either. So getting link damage is not going to be the best here for Razor.
Yeah, and I imagine that's actually part of the reason why Gyro did end up going for the Pike. Sanjin Yashi gives you move speed, but Pike gives you like an easy eject button if you do get linked out of position. And so it's a little bit more reliable way to break that damage, and Razor relies on that damage, definitely. You see FN has now gone for a Black King bar to, stay stuck onto a target, making sure you're not getting like cold feeded and homing missile, burrow strike, cogged out, stuff like that, so it's necessary this game, but it's not a damage item.
Yeah. Let me see here. Sand King, now the Forest Staff finished. The Yule's going to be coming along. Are they smoking up here? They're grouping up as if they may be doing that, but no, just farming the area. Yeah, Ancient Apparition, he chooses to go the Hand of Midas, so going the very greedy route. Eventually would love an Ags, I'm sure, but that's still going to be a ways off at this time.
I think Midas is the right call. Like I said, Empire wants to end this game early. They all built mid-game, so Brestomans know that the only way they win this game is by going late. And an Ancient Apparition Midas definitely braces yourself for that.
Yeah. Gyrocopter has that butterfly again queued up. Trying to farm it out. 2,500 gold saved up currently. So getting close, but now if you're the Radiant team, it's Empire. They still would, obviously they're not going to be able to do Roshan for a while, but I guess they still have the middle tier 2 as well as the bottom tier 2 that they could look to try to push aggressively. If you're Empire, do you think that's an option they should be going for, or just relying on just the picking heroes, or what?
They're in a weird spot right now. They've kind of missed their initial push timings. Like, all these drums, they're all great, but now you have, like, a cumulative 4k gold spread out amongst 3 cores that's basically the same item. It's not really benefiting, because at this stage, Empire are 5-manning. Nature's Prophet doesn't really have the option to split push because Sand King is so farmed. Clockwork is getting a lot of farm. You have to worry about Moonlight Shadow. So the traditional Rat Nature's Prophet just isn't viable right now. So his drum is kind of nullified. And then Razor and Tiny, Tiny has a Shadow Blade, but he's kind of getting scared with all of this farm that the supports are getting on Brestomans, and so you don't know if you're going to be able to, confidently go into enemy territory without getting detected by sentry wards and stuff like that. So there's kind of a difficult spot for Team Empire, but they're going to smoke up. There's no Roche available for a long time, so they're just going to have to hope for a pick, and there's no tier 2 up top either, and so if they're moving up top, you are either going to get a pick or you're going to get nothing done.
Yeah. Just looking at that graph, too, and just see the swing.
Gyro would be great, though.
That would be a nice little target to take. It's taking a little bit of time to initial.
What?
What a reaction from Gyrocopter. He manages the Force Staff away. If they get the turn kill, this would be huge once again. Homing missile out. Tiny going to be taking it, but he's some pretty defensible. The Clockwork gets a cog on 3 different heals, locking them in completely. The Force Staff's out. The wards are down from Rasta, though, using his own lockdown, the shackles on Sand King. Yules will save for now, but no. Perfect timing from Silent. with the tree throw, gets the kill. So after all of that, somehow the only kill is actually on Sand King of everyone. But yeah, that initial reaction was huge from Gyrocopter.
That had to be just. It couldn't have been a reaction. He just had to like have spider sensed it because there's no way. But yeah, so initially that was a great turnaround. But the problem is that Brestomans weren't really able to spread the fight out. Gyrocopter went to the north to go deal with Nature's Prophet and the Razor, but the rest of the team went to go fight the Tiny. And Tiny's not an easy target to take down, as we all know, and whenever you have to deal with the presence of Shadow Shaman wards, that makes it even more difficult, because Gyrocopter's not there to, you know, flak cannon off of the Rasta wards because he was too busy chasing the other heroes, so all Brestomans had to evacuate, and once their Empire kind of, like, plants their flag with those Rasta wards, you can't really come contest that territory, so maybe a little bit overzealous to go for that Tiny, even though it was a great cogs in the hookshot. It's not the time for a target like that.
Well, that's a really good point, because, yeah, if you're this Radiant side, you like to take fights in a very specific spot. You mentioned the Rasta wards, the Tombstone of Undying. Once those are down, ideally you would like to reset if you're the Dire team, unless you already have an advantage within said fight, like they kind of did, of course, at the Roshan area. So, yeah, that definitely was a great reset choice there. And only losing the Sand King. Got to be feeling pretty good about that. So Gyrocopter, though,
yeah, actually, it's Gyrocopter. So he had Butterfly queued up, and in my mind, I was like, after that fight, you have to be. Oh man, they have the Okami Courier. Oh snap! I haven't seen it in.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. Really so after that fight, you need to think to yourself. Oh, you need to think to yourself. Bye bye goes my Sand King. That's one thing. But you also need to think. I need a BKB desperately after that fight, and so actually he finished the Butterfly, so that's great.
Yeah.
I was going for Lincoln's. He had BKB queued up briefly, but I still feel like BKB is far superior to Lincoln's right now, because if all you need is Gyrocopter, and then he shoots one Rasta ward, and all of the zombies will die. All the heroes in the AoE will get attacked, and one of the wards is going to get attacked. So as long as he's standing still attacking, that's what the team really needs. But instead, he's going for Lincoln's right now. I don't know if he's going to complete anything, because right now, Empire are angry and they're taking some towers.
That they are. Tiny leading the way. Razor here as well as the Nature's Prophets. All three cores. That tier 2 bottom going down. Tier 2 middle, the only one that's still up here. As far as defensively for the Dire side, they still have, on the Radiant side, they don't have many more towers up themselves, though, as that top tier 1 goes down. So just the middle and the top tier 2 themselves. So tower advantage, only slight now in favor of Team Empire. But BKB finished on Razor, full 10 seconds at this point. So again, obviously some pretty big items coming out, continuing to come out here. Ancient Apparition, probably dead. Shackles, drums out of the storm, that's an easy kill. Make that happen. Top lane though, uh-oh, Tiny. Homing Missile channeled out, they put the dust out though, call down coming down. Homing Missile takes a while to get there. Burrow Strike finally hits, sets up the Homing Missile, and now Clockwork, oh, he hookshot his teammate! Oh no, a little bit of miscommunication. It might not matter in the end. Toss, no, they still get the kill, so it made it a little funny, I guess. Oh, middle lane. Yeah. No, he's fine.
Rana is actually doing some damage. Where did that come from?
Yeah, right. How's that Manta style finished? And actually,
there's 2 more leaps. Yeah.
Homing Missile up. There's one more leap. That's one more on top of it. The arrow misses, puts on the tombstone, throws on the rip, or the decay even. Still has a rip. But he's actually going to fall. And Nature's Prophet goes down. Over here, is that a solo Clockwork?
Burrow Strike in 1 second.
Oh, no, Tanking was there too. There's that Burrow Strike. What is happening? They're just falling one after the other.
No.
Oh no. Brestomans. And Roshan's up. This is big.
Oh man, yeah, actually that was an extremely early Roche spawn, because the reset time was like 30 seconds ago, so that is grim. And they killed off the trance, but I mean, if you're Empire, you have to pretty much know. Thing is that it's not very fast, but I think Tiny doesn't have a blink tagger, so he can't get into this even. So that's a Roche.
Yeah,
for sure.
It should be. Well. Definitely an underdog of sorts at Brestomans, but gotta say they are playing very well ever since that first Roshan. Especially, they are deserving to be in the lead right now for sure, and they have a comfortable lead at this point. This time they give it to Gyrocopter, by the way.
Yeah, and Cheese was given to Mirana now. So, and she recognizes her issues. As long as she's just staying alive, then that's really what you need to make sure you're, one, drawing the focus off of Gyro, and two, just being irritating for the rest of Team Empire. And so, just straight up Scotty after a Manta style, I'm perfectly okay with that on this Mirana.
Alright, so yeah, Scotty will help with that tank idea. So going back to the Lincolns. Again, Gyrocopter is pretty much committed to it now. Has the ultimate order.
Yeah, I am still very skeptical because, okay, so you've got Hex to break it, you've got Ether Shock to break it, you've got Shackles to break it, you've got Sprout to break it, you've got
Rip.
Soul Rip to break it. And ideally he wants it for Static Link, but I mean, I'm not even counting the items. You got a Force Staff on Razor, you've got an Orchid on Nature's Prophet. There are so many single target things that he needs to worry about as they get a kill on Manga with, I'm assuming, some sort of tiny initiation, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I am still not a fan of these Lincolns at all, but you know, if you can make it work, then more power to him.
Well, Clockwork does get a Heaven's Halberd finished, and that's, I would assume, a pretty good item, especially against a hero like Tiny, you know, being
The
able to
seeds of fortune.
disarm him, even the Razor for that matter.
Yeah, whoever he
Vision.
hook shots, he's basically just guaranteeing that he's gonna get a hook shot on the core now. So hook shot him, and then immediately disarm, and if Razor gets disarmed, then even the BKB won't help him. And if Tiny gets disarmed, then, oh well, his BKB won't help him either, as now Tiny has completed his own.
There you go. 10-second BKB finish. Let's take a look at some talents real quickly. Got some level 20s kicking in. Speaking of Tiny, choosing to get the -7-second tree grab cooldown. So now that's
I don't think I've ever seen the toss talent be taken.
No. The tossing people on cliffs, man.
I
meme is
mean, I
real.
want to see it happen. We're support Tiny. That's when it's gonna become the new meme.
I've tried it. It's silly, but probably not practical. It's the reason we're not seeing a hook shot. I heard it at least. Misses.
Yeah, it doesn't connect.
There's definitely still a fight brewing though. Homing missile. It's just going to be going a long distance. So eventually they'll back it off though. And that'll be the end of that. So yeah, Tiny going that talent. Razor, what did he get? A level 20. 0.1 Eye of the Storm strike interval. So basically the Eye of the Storm goes that much quicker. That's the point
It's
there.
actually a little bit surprising. I thought he would go for the armor against this Gyrocopter,
Yeah,
but
10 armor, you're right. That's a lot.
oh, can they find Shaman? Wow,
Yeah.
that's game sense.
There wasn't even a question there. It's just like, oh yeah, no, he's right in these trees, exactly here. Okay, that was something. Sentry not even needed. He has a Lincoln's. Speaking of Gyrocopter, he did go the 50 movement speed, and he's level 23, so the 3-second homing missile charges is coming along nicely. I think it's safe to assume we're going to see that there. 25 mana
Yeah.
break on Mirana as well.
Yeah, it's so good with her Manta style. You burn off so much mana with all of your illusions. It's ridiculous. A lot of Miranas do opt to go for a diffusal blade on top of that to just burn in, like, I guess it's 40 mana per attack, and then a little bit less on your illusions or something like that. I don't know, but it makes it so difficult for a lot of heroes to deal with that.
Seems like Brestomans is feeling
Radiant's
comfortable,
middle
starting to
tower is
really
under attack.
push here, and again, they still have the Aegis for a little bit longer, so definitely wanted to make use
Yeah.
of that.
And Empire are respecting it. They could have gone for a split push of their own up top. They have pretty good vision in the dire jungle, and they had a Tiny up there who, you know, he's still a hell of a pusher, but actually back off.
Well, they were going in the back door there. The creep wave was cut, I believe, from behind
That's
them,
true, yeah.
So they really had to fall back. They were doing essentially no damage to the tower, but now they're going to be able to finally. As the creep wave here is but Tiny, ready with the invis, has that 10-second BKB still. You know he wants to jump. Going for Gyrocopter perhaps. Does have the Lincolns. There's a Tasso in the air with the Avalanche. That Lincolns will eventually be taken off, but tower goes down and that's it. Thought we might have seen initiation, but not so much. But yeah, it seems like Empire really just going to start
Ooh.
relying on the Gostic split push now.
Yeah,
Probably.
and there was an attempted hook shot onto this Nature's Prophet. They scanned him, but didn't have the right positioning, and Light gets out cleanly. You know, honestly, with this, I wouldn't be surprised if Gyrocopter takes global cooldown just to, like, guarantee that he doesn't need to worry about something like that happening. As now, Tiny is pretty out of position, but there's no detection.
Yeah, just walk it up. Homing missile, channel, but again, he's a little bit too far, I'm guessing.
And Aegis is reclaimed now.
And it is. And a sound going off there. Whoa, look at Gyrocopter. We did not get to see this
Yeah,
item often.
Nullifier. No, not at all. And I I'm really scared about him not having a BKB because you saw how quickly he went down to just avalanche toss Tiny. He went down to like a quarter HP, and that's with no one else attacking him.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I mean, the only way that I would be okay with no BKB is if he also finishes this Morbid Mask into a Satanic, because Satanic, you know, he'll tank you up with the Reaver, so you'll survive the burst damage, and then you don't really need a BKB that badly because you'll just be lifestealing off of other units to get all your HP back, and you don't really worry about getting CC'd. The Nullifier, like, he's very fast with the Pike and the Flutter and the 50 movement speed talent and the phase boots, but I'm still concerned that you're not going to get close to a target before, like, Clockwork hookshot initiation range is way longer than you can run.
Yeah.
So who are you going to nullify?
It does seem a little out of place. And as much as I like the idea of the item and would love to see it, I definitely agree with you. It seems like these later items, a little bit questionable at least. Doesn't mean they can't work, but it's just a matter of will it in an upcoming fight. It inevitably will happen. Perhaps a third Roshan is going to be that interesting spot, but still plenty of time before that's even possible to be happening with the respawn here. And this is a smoke attempt coming out from the Dire
Jara's
team.
max move speed. This BOT is now.
Yeah, now with the talent. Oh, they find a free kill in Rasta at least. Just scouting out. There's that Lincoln's coming into play, baby.
That's the Lincolns right there.
Number one. That's why he got it. Hook shot. It
Nice
connects on
one.
Razor. This is a big chance now. The vision was given by an Ancient Apparition.
Oh
And
man,
the Ice
he
Blast
blew
for the
his
kill.
BKB. Holy crap. That was a 10-second BKB.
You're right. Wow. Uh-oh. He does have a buyback.
Radiant's middle tower
70
is
seconds
under
he's dead
attack.
for.
That's true, but when he buys back, he won't have that BKB. Because now Tiny is trying to do his
Dire's
damnedest split
structures are
push.
fortified.
He's gonna at least draw a little bit of attention back from the Sand King.
Radiant's middle
But yeah, if
tower
you're the
is
Dire
under
side,
attack.
it's such a tough place because, yeah, Razor is dead. So is Rasta. But oh my god, Tiny might get a
Sand
solo
King
kill
might
on
be
Sand
dead.
King. No, he's gonna be fine. Cold Feet gonna be taken off from the Tiny. And this top tier 3 gonna go in favor of Empire, actually. They're going for the racks now. Meanwhile, you look at the middle tower. It does go down. They're going for racks themselves with the Dire team, but finally, Jowcop decides to come back, those at the call down, and that eventually will get them to fall back. In the long run, the Burrow Strike connects on Undying. He goes
Radiant's
down.
middle barracks are
Drops
under
that
attack.
tombstone as a result of the talent there. As Tiny, he's still hanging around though. Ancient Apparition's going to end up falling because of that. The BKB use and the TP out from Tiny to be safe. So you see the damage done on the Radiant base. So they did get the melee racks.
Yeah, I don't know if that was worth a 10-second BKB. At the very least, I think if you're going to use the BKB, you should go for attacks on the melee racks, because I think with the tree throw, you should be able to take it in the span of a 10-second BKB. I don't really think that's worth a Ancient Apparition kill, but overall, a great reaction from Empire. They are they shouldn't have been able to get that. Right now, Brestomans are 11k gold up, and I'm sure before each team's tier 3 goes down, it was probably like probably a similar amount. And so I am surprised that Brestomans went for that trade, because you could have sent more than just the Sand King. It's possible that they had some TPs down, or maybe they didn't have TPs or something like that.
Yeah.
But whatever the case, Empire make a great reaction.
Wait, what? Gyrocopter with the global call down.
I told you.
Yeah.
God, you don't want to have to deal with
That
this rap business.
Just registered to me. Holy crap. But why would you do that and not get the level 20 talent then? That just feels weird
Oh
to
well,
me.
I mean that's because he didn't think it was gonna come to this point for sure. Which is a good point. I mean, that sucks for him, because the 20-second global cooldown, it's basically you can shave off every single wave, or you can basically kill a wave in the lane like constantly when it's off cooldown. So it's a shame, but it's a good reaction, because at the minimum, you're only going to be using that global cooldown whenever they're at your Raxes. You don't need to be using it to push, and I guess you can use it in the mid lane just for giggles.
Yeah, man, a 20-second cooldown would feel really nice right now, though, if you have
Right.
that. But, yeah, no, you're right. It's just a reaction, so maybe necessary, but, and again, in his mind, he's thinking that Nullifier is necessary. He has here Lotus Sword going off. Just we're getting away, Sand King, though.
Yeah, this is the third Roche, and you can't give this to Radiant, because Rasta is going to have 2 Shadow Shaman wards. We saw how quickly they were able to take a Rax even without, or at least take a tier 3 even without Rasta wards, so you can't afford to give this Roche up. It's now initiation.
Lotus Orb applied. Sand King will get out quickly. Tombstone split down. We talked about it earlier. They do not want to fight into these abilities. You see the double Force Staff on Clockwork's not enough, though. He eventually does go down, so he's the only kill so far, but quite a bit used. Another BKB on Razor. Tiny, he did not BKB, but He's a tombstone. Rasta wards are still ready as well. So with Roshan up, Clockwork buys back. He knows how important this is. As you were just stressing right there, Tsunami, you do not want to give up that refresher shard, especially to the other team.
And
so.
even without that I think that buyback was a good buyback, but even without that buyback, I don't think that Empire were going to go for it because Tiny didn't use his BKB, but Nature's Prophet used his and Razor used his, and so between those two, I still think that Sand King initiation is too intimidating for you to go into the pit, but I'm still perfectly okay with that buyback.
I like how Sand King is also going to be the next hero to hit level 25 in this game. That's without any experienced talent. I mean, he's just getting levels, man. He's really progressing this game very nicely.
Yeah, this is with him getting picked a handful of times. I would think, I mean, you very rarely see the blind, but actually you probably won't see it this game either because of all the BKBs. And he has way too many items that he can't just sit around inside of a sandstorm, so
yeah.
Probably going to be the health regen.
That's the thing. It's like, it's on paper, it sounds pretty cool, but then you realize you're level 25 and so is everyone else, and everyone else has really progressed. It's like, are you really going to be sitting there in a sandstorm for a fight? Not really, so.
Right.
Yeah, 35 health regen, that's quite a bit, and definitely can help him sustain even more in these fights. Nullifire's finished on Gyrocopter. It's done, and now he has a Satanic, of course. Oh, that race to the Arcane Rune. That was scary.
Man, if he had nullified him, they may have been able to make a move, because no BKB, then he would have gotten stuck inside a Clockwork or something, but then they got out. And both teams are just very, very careful about this Roche. The thing is, it's much easier for Brestomans to keep an eye on it. You've got the Ice Vortex, you've got Ice Blast, you've got Flare, you've got Global Cooldown, you've got Sacred Arrow. You have so many ways to get vision inside the pit, and so they're pretty comfortable continuing to farm around the map. Whereas Empire, they're gonna have to go for the smoke play. Hopefully get a pick, because you can't go straight into the pit and expect to kill it quickly enough.
Talking about this earlier, if you're the Star side, definitely playing for more of the late game, and Ancient Apparition, that hand of Midas is most certainly paid off by now. He's actually got the Ags delivering to him at this point, and that means that Ice Blast is going to be much, much stronger now as a result of that. So the window's definitely closing if you're Team Empire here, it feels like, as we continue to progress. But that third Roshan's still up. They get scanned out. Empire scans them, that is.
Yeah, smoke time's out, though.
Not going to be able to make a play with it. We'll have to fall back.
I'm actually very... So they want to make a move on this top shrine, because if they can get rid of that top shrine, they cut down even more of Empire's potential Roche capabilities.
True. Very true. And yeah, Gyrocopter, the Nullifier, it's great on usability, but it does apply a lot of damage too. 65 plus just base damage that he's getting there.
Yeah, builds out of that relic. Most people, I mean, like Rapier doesn't get that damage out of nowhere. That relic is a hell of an item, especially when you can combine it with something like Flat Cannon.
More level 25. Well, yeah, Sand King does hit his. Well, he does choose to go the Sandstorm Slow.
Well, I'll be damned.
There you go. It's
Dire's bottom shrine is under attack.
Yeah.
It's as we were talking about. It's on paper, it sounds great, but are you really going to be sitting there in a sandstorm, you know?
Right. And is the enemy team really not going to have their BKBs on whenever a fight's breaking out? So, yeah.
It's an option now, but to be fair, he is fairly tanky. He is very elusive, so really was the 35 health regen. Like, that could be the argument too, right? Where it's just, was that really going to do a lot for him as well? So you might as well take the ability that he might get something out of it.
It's true.
In fights. This is going to be a free Roshan.
Empire. Yeah, they're not going to be able to contest this. They don't have no shrine, they have no vision, they have no refresher shard, cheese, or Aegis. Now Aegis is given to Gyrocopter, refresher shard
on Gyro as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in his backpack at least. Yeah, is that the? I was going to wonder about that.
Give it to the, I would have figured you give it to the AA, but alright.
True. Double Ice Blast sounds pretty good, especially with an Axe. We'll see. He's going to hold on to it for now.
Hold on, Bliss Flare immediately shuts down this push. 3 members of Team Empire are just walking, standing here. They really want to be able to drop some wards down, because if they're able to get up to that high ground, break backdoor protection, then you can just drop the wards and hope to get some damage, but they're going to have to react. And they actually want to fight this tier 2, which is crazy to me.
They poured in like they do. Shadow Shaman, he takes an arrow stun right away, but okay, they deny the tower, but again, at this point of the game, it's whatever. 45.5 minutes in, denying a tower outside of the base especially is meh. If you're the Dire team, you're happy with it still.
12k gold advantage on Brestomans, and it's only gonna get worse before it gets better. Now I can't believe Tiny's able to walk around like this. Oh, there's a sentry ward.
Right as you say that, the sentry they dust is he going in. The Hex comes out, and that will stop it in full. And now the Force Staff away. Both teams are extending here, trying to get the reach, but neither one could just actually catch. Ice Blast going through is gonna hit a couple of heroes, it looks like. And that's the Ag's Ice Blast. So yeah, Shadow Shaman, he's gonna start ticking down, and he'll have to be a little careful if a fight breaks out. Rasta has his gem, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't know if Brestomans had been like, yeah, we'll kill the Rasta, we'll just get his gem. But, like, you need a gem on your own at this point. You have so much map control. You look at how many sentries are on the map. Like, that's great and all, but you're burning a lot of gold that could have just been used with a gem. And you have Ice Vortex, so you can get vision on cliffs and stuff like that to kill down wards. Someone should buy a gem. Ideally Sand King, but Sand King is going for a Shiva's Guard instead, which is fine, but Tiny should not be able to walk into your team like that for free.
Sand King just continues to do the solo thing, pushing out of bottom lane. Talk about split push potential, and Sand King definitely provides that himself, just constantly going in with the Sandstorm.
All these creeps are blinded, and they can't kill the enemy creeps.
They don't know what's going on. Yeah, no, nice job right there by him and keeping that up. Another level 25. Nature's Prophet's almost there, as is Razor. Razor's actually literally there now. So he's going to go the 100 attack speed over the unstable current interval instead. So not as much plus damage.
I don't think I've ever seen the unstable current.
Unless you really need that purge, perhaps. Maybe like against an Omni Knight, but attack speed, 100 attack speed, that is a lot. You get kind of level 25. So Gyrocopter, Satanic, he has enough for it. Obviously, he wants buyback, but actually, I think he has enough for buyback as well. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think he has both.
So he could actually buy it here. You probably want to buy that if you're going to be picking a fight at their base, but a little bit too far away, so just runs right into Tiny. It's thrown up, and he's at half life. There you go. You're talking about that. It's one combo. Got to be careful.
Yep.
And even with the Aegis, they just can't push.
That, so, yeah.
So it's like, how do you really break through?
Again, it's all dependent on getting a pick. Clockwork went for a hookshot initiation, but he didn't land it. It's all dependent on whether 4 lands a hookshot or not. If he does, then you're gonna go balls deep. But if he doesn't, then you just sit around to reset, and it's gonna be up in 10 seconds again. Tiny's in vision.
Oh, he gets the sun at least on a 1. Tiny pops that up though. Status resistance, pretty strong, I should say. Pops a BKB, tosses in something, and just trying to keep them away from the tier 3 tower. And he does that as well as the rest of his team, of course. So again, Gyrocopter kind of resetting though, going back in. Still has a call. I'm going to be activating right here. Rasta gets cut on the cogs, gets pushed out initially, but it's not going to be enough. Sprout attempt. Unfortunate, unable to save. And Gyrocopter getting low. Remember, he has the Aegis. He's going back in. He says, screw it, if you kill me, I'm taking you with me. He will go down. Aegis is popped. At least FN's able to get away with the Forest Staff and stay alive at the time being. BKB is going to be down, though. The toss in the air. The cheese is eaten from Mirana, though. And now Tiny's in some trouble. He would have a buyback if he goes down the ice. Scotty auto attack just raining from the heavens. He indeed has to buy back as he does so immediately. But now, if you're Brestomans, what do you do here? Do you really continue fighting?
Take the gem.
They did not take the gem, you're right. Nature's like, all right, thank you. I'll pick it up.
I'm actually surprised they back off, because, like, all the BKBs were spent for Team Empire. What are they going to do on a re-engage? Yeah. I guess you didn't have Ice Blast anymore, but, I mean, at the minimum, they should have... I don't know. I mean, they want to play it safe. If I were Brestomans, I'd be like, how the hell did we even get at this point that we're winning by 18k gold? So it would only hurt if you lose under circumstances that were entirely avoidable. As now Mingus is going into the top lane. Global call down as well.
Yeah.
All on this Nature's Prophet. Can he Shadow Blade out? Or he doesn't need to.
I was expecting an Ice Blast, but actually Ancient Apparition out of
Poor
mana.
guy has no mana. Yeah.
He's going back to base, so well, that was over here. He had Undying getting picked off meanwhile. From the Gyro. He still has that Refresher Shard, by the way. Has not used it yet. 10,000 gold also.
Let you crazy for this one. They're going in on Mirana.
Oh.
Now it's a pick. In the dying moments of that Radiant Ward, they were able to find Mirana.
However, Tiny, this is a dieback. If he dies, that is. Nature's Prophet TP's in, has that no teleport cooldown. Able to be freely moving. BKB pot by Tiny. Status resistance also helping again. And they're going to get the turn kill. Burl Strike. Yeah, not enough for either strike. Either shock even. We'll finish him off. So Tiny manages to live. That would have been big, but Takes off Mirana, gets kill on Sand King. A couple of important kills for Empire, at least slowing things down a little bit again.
Yeah, you take a deep breath right now if you're Brestomans. You're like, okay, they got a few kills, but it's okay. We still have Refresher Shard. We still have a pretty solid net worth advantage. Although Shaman is now level 3. He's not. This is not a Shaman who's ever going to get an Aghanim Scepter this game at least. But still, the wards do a hell of a lot of damage and a hell of a lot of push.
I kind of look back at that previous fight, too, and again, we were talking about Gyrocopter sitting on gold plus buyback. He could have finished the Satanic. You got to wonder if he was able to get the Satanic, how they may have changed
things. Got a BKB.
But look at that, though.
I'm
yeah,
so proud of him.
I was going to say, he ends up just going to BKB. It's currently in his backpack, but he has that and the Boots of Travel level 2 on top of it as well.
Good.
So
I'm glad.
But
I don't know if it's like because of the Refresher Shard, he's like, oh, okay, well, now that I have 19 seconds of spell immunity, maybe it's worth it at this point. But yeah, he turns down the Satanic.
So he has a BKB now, but now it's feeling like he has a BKB, he has Lincolns, he has Hurricane Pike. I mean, is this getting to a point where he's a little too defensive? Does he need more offense? Does he need that MKB perhaps? And if so, what does he
No, not yet, because no one on Radiant has evasion except for Razor. And so Razor alone isn't enough to warrant going for something like that. If there was a Solar Crest on the side of... Oh, actually, Solar Crest doesn't do the miss anymore, but... Regardless, I don't think that... I mean, with the Nullifier, he does more than enough damage. Nullifier plus Butterfly, like, he hits like a truck. So it's not really necessary. I still, again, like, I would have preferred the BKB over the Lincolns if you had to take one of the items out. But I think he's still going to do just fine. The hardest thing is him not being able to stand around and deal damage. He can deal damage as long as he's not getting crowd controlled, and so that's what the BKB is going to help with. Is now they run into each other.
Burrow strike hits Tiny. Razor's in the flank, though, as you mentioned. BKB activated from the Gyrocopter. He's trying to run away. That it's a full 10 seconds, remember. Force Staff even. He's just really trying to survive at this point. Clockwork goes down, the call down, hitting a couple of heroes, but that'll be the end of the fight for the time being, unless maybe not. Mirana, he's still going. Remember, this will be a dieback on 10 if they can manage to take him out. Buyback coming up for Clockwork, by the way. It does come back up, reflecting from the Lotus Orb something. Gyrocopter trying to keep him alive. It's not going to happen, though. Razo even with the shackles to assist, finish the job. Mirana still dealing plenty of damage, however. Even the illusions are doing so. Razor's trying to get away now. Here comes the epicenter. Buyback from the Gyrocopter. Razor's going to be dead for 100 seconds. And here comes the TP now from Gyrocopter on top of the Sand King, but the team of Dyer's cleaning up. Razor now feels like he has to buy back. It's all of a sudden 4 heroes were dead. Nature's Prophet TP back to base, but it's just going to be the 2 of them, maybe Undying if he buys back, against all 5 of Brestomans.
BKB is not up for 30 seconds on Gyrocopter. He used it on that initial engagement, and he had to just back out with it. Well, I don't know if he had to, but that's what Reflection chose to do. And so whenever the fight continued from Empire, they were able to shackle up the Gyrocopter. But again, like, Mangix is totally my MVP. That initiation with the epicenter, you know that Gyrocopter was like, all right, if you hit this epicenter, I will buy back and BOT onto you. And Mangix delivered immediately, took out the remainder of Team Empire, and now they're 1 racks away from getting Mega Creeps.
Yeah, and perhaps pulling through with game number 1 here of this best of 3. Nature's Prophet, though, Gossic's like, no, damn it, we have to fight. Forces out a getaway there, and will prevent the tier 3 from going down at least. And now Event jumps in with his own BKB, but not much he can do by himself. He has to walk away very quickly. Again, Gyrocopter dealing plenty of damage, has that Nullifier ready to use as well, and so is Mirana. We keep talking about Gyrocopter, but Mirana's right click that he's starting to put out is definitely feeling it if you're the Radiant team. So the Mega Creeps is on the way. Clockwork, Force Staff, these Force Staffs, man, constantly being used to save the day. And Clockwork will make it out with the Moonlight Shadows. But no Mega Creeps just yet. We still have a ranged racks.
It's true, but I don't think Brestomans are too concerned. Actually, they're going back in for this, which is a little bit risky.
A little bit, but Tiny's still dead for 25 seconds. They want to take advantage. They're going to easily get the kill on the range racks. The Mega Creep's going to be spawned. They take out Rasta as well, who too does not have a buyback, and Clockwork will fall away himself. So, yeah, a little bit risky, but why not? You know, just get the Mega Creeps. And now just going to let the creeps do their thing, if you're Brestomans.
Yeah, the creeps are going to do their things, and they're going to be helped out with all those global spells that I mentioned earlier. The Flare, the Call Down, the Ice Blast. It's going to be a hell of a time trying to hold off against Mega Creeps, but Empire can still do it, because all they really need is one big fight. Gyrocopter is not going to have buyback for another 5.5 minutes. And so if you are able to get a pick on him, then Tiny plus Rasta wards are just going to mow down your tier 4s, because all they're going to do is take a tier 3 and go straight for the Ancient afterwards. And so Empire is still very much in this game. It's a hard game to come back from, but they can definitely still win it.
Very much in this game. All right. It's a strong statement there, but
I'll stand by that for sure.
all right. I mean, net worth-wise, it's definitely not the craziest. We've seen much worse, to be fair. But yeah, Mega Creeps 20,000 net worth lead just about. It's yeah, Brestomans has a pretty high percentage chance of winning at this point, I would think. It's safe to say, but no, I get what you're suggesting. Definitely still hope, at least, for Empire.
Especially if they're able to get this Roche. Global Calldown is scouting it out right now, and so Dire is fully aware, but I don't know if Radiant are going to feel confident going forward for a little bit. And again, like it's so difficult to take this Roche if you're Empire, because anytime that you're spent not pushing out waves is time that the Brestomans squad can just be constantly pushing in with all these spells, and they don't really need to do anything other than stand around the pit. Like every structure is taken. They have nothing better to do than just guarantee this Roche.
Pause coming out here from Empire, looks like. Yeah, looks like they're good to go though now. And again, this is just game number 1, guys, of this best of 3 series. So it is a single elimination qualifier here for the CIS region. And right now, a team that we didn't know much about going into it is definitely showing us what they're about against Team Empire on the other side. So another smoke play from Brestomans. See the illusions.
Oh, they're going.
Yeah, all right, so
it's not fast.
You got to be desperate here if you're Empire, so it's understandable, but that's not going to work. Yeah, they're going to be held off. And now you're in that spot again of, all right, now it's just a matter of who initiates first.
I don't think Brestomans should do anything. I think they should just sit here and constantly get vision on the pit, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah. And let your creeps take care of business with the Megas.
Exactly.
That's good strategy. Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, he has a no teleport cooldown taunt, and so that's going to help out a lot against this situation, but it's still tricky.
Oh, middle lane, Hex, Sand King gets Hexed right here. Is he going to be able to get forced after anything? Forced out, those shackles lasting forever. Finally gets thrown up there with the Eels, and the Lotus Orb going to be fine. Nature's Prophet TP back in, by the way. The auto attack from Ra going to finish off the cooldown on pretty much every single hero. Nature's Prophet does eventually fall. Tiny just holding his ground in the midst of it, but the epicenter coming out, and down goes Tiny. Razor's trying to survive. Triple kill, though, coming out for Gyrocopter. That's going to be another one, making an ultra kill. Let's just add on the Rampage on top of it. Yes, we got it. Gets it on top. Gyrocopter finishes it strong, and that'll do it for game number 1 officially. Brestomans takes game number 1 against Empire. Did not think I'd be saying that, not gonna lie.
They take it late, and they show their moxie, because you want to tell me how many drums of endurance you still see on Team Empire? Oh, I think it's 0. I think that's basically 4K net worth on all the cores that cumulatively did not get, used because the game went for, how long is this? 57 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Empire, like, I have no issue with that. Like, they had a strategy in mind. It's just Brestomans were playing a lot better than they expected. They held off the mid game, and they built for the late game. Mirana had a miserable laning phase, but came back admirably. Ancient Apparition reacted very well with the Midas purchase, and Reflection was able to carry them. And I'm glad he went for that BKB, because I don't think they would have won if they didn't get the BKB. But yeah, he comes out on top, 16-1 and 10. Dude did very well.
That's a pretty awesome stat line right there for Gyrocopter. But I agree with you, Full, that Sand King, if you had an MVP award for game 1, definitely him. Mm-hmm. From the right away when he got that Blink Dagger, he got the kill on 2. Nature's Prophet, and again, the first Roshan is where things really swung in favor of the Dire side, and that's where they just really never looked back after that. So hell of a job from him, hell of a team effort, and again, taking game number 1. Best of 3, though. We'll see Empire, how they're going to respond going into game number 2. But ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. You're tuning into the StarLadder I-League CIS Qualifiers. I'm Breaking CPK, joined by Tsunami. We got game number 2 going to be coming up next. We'll be right back.